Hello everybody, this is the review of the highly anticipated superhero slash mutant slash gifted people movie X-Men Apocalypse. And when you say X-Men, you should look upwards at the ceiling and shout in a weird voice like this. Apocalypse. Didn't work? I'll give you a better example. Now, story-wise, the story takes place after the events of the last X-Men movie, Days of the Future Past, and takes place in the 1980s. The movie begins in 3600 BC. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything here, and traces the origins of the First Mutant. There are some references to gods in other mythologies and religions, which might get some people angry, but cut to 1983, we got Charles Xavier running the school for special kids. How Charles Xavier, Magneto, the first mutant Apocalypse who rises from his grave to end humanity, as you would have guessed by now, and wreak havoc on the world, and how the remaining X-Men, who are just barely young adults, come together to stop him, forms a reminder of the story. Screenplay is mostly smooth, but there are a couple of places where you feel disconnected. There are some head-trippy sequences where Charles Xavier fights with the demons in his mind, but all in all, a cohesive screenplay indeed. Direction, Bryan Singer comes back to direct this movie, and he's in command of the proceedings throughout. Production values are great overall, and he managed to get good performance from at least half of his cast. Now, talking about cast, the performances are by this following cast. Apocalypse, played by Oscar Isaac, Psylocke, played by Olivia Munn, Archangel, played by Ty Sheridan, Storm, played by Alexandra Shipp, though I would prefer Halle Berry any day, Magneto, played by one of my favorite actors, Michael Fassbender, Raven, played by Jennifer Lawrence, Charles Xavier, played by James McAvoy, Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner, the Beast, played by Nicholas Hoult, Cody Smith plays Nightcrawler, Rose Byrne plays Moira McTaggart, and my favorite character, Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters. That's a huge cast to manage, and for the most part, all of them do their job satisfactorily. The ones who shine through are obviously Quicksilver, who has the most fun X-Men role I've seen in ages. Michael Fassbender can pretty much sleepwalk through most of these roles, which he gets these days and no one will notice, and he shines especially in one sequence involving his wife and kids. Jennifer Lawrence somehow did not make a strong impact on me and was plasticky. Okay, start the hate comments now. But seriously, she could have done better than this. Charles Xavier is good, so is Apocalypse, played by Oscar Isaac, though somehow I felt funny looking at him in some places. Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner, surprises in a neat role. So does Olivia Munn, but she surprises us for totally different reasons. The dialogues were mostly run-of-the-mill, end of the world, and it was just a dream. The world needs X-Men. Not all of us can control our powers. All of these kind of dialogues are mostly run-of-the-mill and don't really excite me at all. And you would have heard these kind of dialogues in almost every superhero movie by now. Editing is crisp, but the first 20 minutes meander very slowly to establish the backstory of Apocalypse, but it slowly picks up after that. So if you push through, you will have fun by the end of this movie. Cinematography, locations are mostly VFX based, but they are done really well. The tone of the scenes are dark at the beginning and light at the end. I mean, the climax was more like imaginary and could have been better, but overall I wouldn't complain too much on cinematography. BGM was competent but overtly dramatic at some places. The most appropriate one would probably be the scene involving Quicksilver, and the song is very catchy. Apart from that, the BGM was pretty average. The action and VFX is top notch. This movie was definitely more action oriented than the Days of the Future Past, which focused more on relationships, but nothing to complain here. The climax, honestly, was more like a joke, which was not funny, but you don't understand it initially, but then it looks imaginary, turns real, but I personally didn't like it much. Also, how Jean Grey is so strong is not explained sufficiently to the casual audiences. Now, this movie answers some very important questions in the X-Men universe. Number one, why is Charles Xavier bald? It's a very important question which all of us have been wondering all this time. This movie gives you a very coherent answer to that question. Number two, who is Quicksilver's dad? Every X-Men knows this by the end of the movie, but Quicksilver says, maybe I'll tell him someday. It's weird, very weird. Number three, why is Magneto such a split personality between good and bad? And it also tells us that Magneto is some sort of a playboy. Number four, why is Raven so important to the X-Men universe? Because she tells the most dramatic dialogues for some weird reason, and she's very, very plasticky. Number five, how was Wolverine originally created? Number six, what's the next and probably last of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine movies plot revolve around? These are the six questions which this movie answers. And there are some questions which this movie doesn't answer. For example, number one, why does Stryker walk away unscathed in slow motion every fucking time? Like every fucking time. Can't just someone rip his head off? Number two, it doesn't answer why Storm, for some reason, becomes partially bald and has grey hair if her power level increases. I would honestly take Halle Berry any day. And number three, it doesn't answer how the hell did you actually kill Apocalypse? I mean, I'll give you a hint by screaming like you had 100 orgasms at the same fucking time. Now, there it is, guys. My review for X-Men Apocalypse. I would say overall the movie was good, but don't expect this to be better than Days of the Future Past. It is probably a little bit below Days of the Future Past in terms of ratings, but I would still give it a solid 70 out of 100. So do press the like button if you like this video and do subscribe for more videos like this. See you guys. Adios.